coach, but you can't see this happening again. So I don't agree with Coach Bud's decision to keep him in for so many minutes, especially if he's not going to get the ball. But it is game one. They still got, they have game two coming up, and, you have to look at that going forward. So before we go to break, we talked about, went into detail with the Spurs and the Thunder. We talked a little about the Dubs and the Blazers, and we talked Hawks and Cavs. But there's one series we haven't talked about, which is going on right now, which is Heat and Raptors. So when we get back from the break, Ethan and I will talk about the Heat and Raptors, and then we'll get Ethan's thoughts on Luke Walton, and at the same time, his thoughts on the Spurs and Thunder, since we didn't get a chance to get it earlier. This is NBA Full Court Press Radio here on the Happy Hour Network. 347-857-1947 is the number to call in to talk to me and Ethan. We're right back in about 1 minute.
Are you looking for some sick sports apparel? DHTK designed some of the newest and coolest brands such as Represent, Game Over, and Don't Hate the King. DHTK's vision is to integrate culture, fashion, and attitude that best represents the players and caters to us, the fans. Click on DHTK.com and subscribe to their mailing list for an automatic 10% off your order. If you are a basketball fan, follow DHTK on social media. Visit DHTK.com for more details. DHTK.com. You don't have to be a king to dress like one. Are you looking for some sick sports apparel? DHTK designed some of the newest and coolest brands such as Represent, Game Over, and Don't Hate the King. DHTK's vision is to integrate culture, fashion, and attitude that best represents the players and caters to us, the fans. Click on DHTK.com and subscribe to their mailing list for an automatic 10% off your order. If you are a basketball fan, follow DHTK on social media. Visit DHTK.com for more details. DHTK.com. You don't have to be a king to dress like one.
We are back for the final segment here on NBA Full Court Press Radio here on the Happy Hour Network and the NBA Full Court Press Radio app. 347-857-1947 is the number to check in with myself tonight and Ethan Stern of NBAFCPRadio.com. I guess I used to call him Ethan Joseph or Ethan Broseph because that's his name on social media, so I get confused. Sorry about that, Ethan. But let's get into the one game that is going on right now that we can't be sorry about, which is the Toronto Raptors and the Miami Heat. To me, this is the best series in the Eastern Conference, and it's running a close second between Spurs and Thunder on the matchup side of things. Let's talk about the Miami Heat right now. Ethan, it's a 32-30 game in Toronto right now. Do you think this is going to be, just looking at from overhead perspective, a knockdown, drag-out series? Do you think the series could possibly go 7 games?
Absolutely. These teams both have a lot of things that kind of counteract what the other team does. It'll be interesting to see how these two coaches that have a lot of people on both sides of it, whether they're good or not, really react to what's going on. We'll see if Dwayne Casey can keep up with his playoff rotation and use guys as if they're doing well or if they're not right for the matchup, and we'll see if Spoelstra can manage his guys and get the best out of a matchup with the Raptors.
Well, for me in this series, you have to look at, the matchups and how things are going to work, because the Raptors are one of these teams that has, for me, I've said all year, the Raptors are the one team that can beat the Cavs. They're the one team that can beat the Cavs. They're the one team that match up so well with the Cavs. But in round one, the play of Kyle Lowry has scared me to the point where I actually picked the Heat to win the series in 7 games. Lowry has gone missing. I don't know what's happened to Kyle Lowry. Ethan, maybe you can help me this one, but Lowry, who all year, has been a top 2 or 3 guard, top 5 guard in the NBA all season. All season long, Kyle Lowry has just been outstanding. But in the last, I would say, month, maybe the last 3 or 4 weeks, Kyle Lowry has turned back into the player that played for the Memphis Grizzlies. We're talking about the one who could barely stick in Houston. I don't know where Kyle Lowry's been, and tonight, he's 0 for 3 from the floor, no points in 12 minutes. Ethan, can you please, maybe that made me feel so bad, can you please tell where Kyle Lowry is right now?
Well, I think the problem is with kind of looking at Kyle Lowry in that perspective is that he was only a 42% shooter during the season. I think he's at like 36 right now in the playoffs. And he's being guarded by George Hill a lot of the time in the first round. He's a really good defender. So that's going to slow it up. And now I don't know if he's really going to be guarded by anybody that great in the Heat backcourt. But he's never really a great shooter. The thing that's really been kind of failing him is the three-point shot, where I think he's down like 20% for the playoffs. That's a little concerning, but it's only 7 games. It's tough to make too much of that. So we'll see how he does in this series. He hasn't been ineffective. His defense was still good. He was still an effective player for the Raptors. It's not like the bigger problem is for me is DeRozan. I used to be pretty high on DeRozan. He finally started to learn how to shoot a bit this year. But the problem is he's a mid-range guy. If he makes 50% of his shots, like, that's really good for him, but that's not great offense. There were a ton of possessions against Indiana where just watching him run up the floor and just take an 18-footer like with 23 seconds off the shot clock. So what are you doing? He even waved off Jonas Valanciunas a couple times when he was trying to set a pick and run some real offense. So that's what I'd be more worried about if I was Toronto.
Now, DeRozan in the last couple of games was scoring at will. He was the guy carrying the team right now. But you did mention the guy he did wave off, which is Jonas Valanciunas. And for me, all year, Valanciunas has been that guy I wish Dwayne Casey would give the ball more to offensively. Tonight, 10 points in 14 minutes, 5 of 9 shooting, 4 rebounds, and a couple of steals right now. But Valanciunas averaged around 14 points and 12 rebounds a game in the opening round. It just seems like for the talent that he has, he just doesn't get enough touches. Now, this series, he's going against Hassan Whiteside, one of the best shot blockers and interior defenders in the NBA. Not very well in the pick and roll, but he blocks shots everywhere. If you're Dwayne Casey with a guy whose skill is like Valanciunas, do you continue to attack Whiteside, or you kind of just let Valanciunas just play on the floor and just get when he can? Or do you attack Whiteside? What would you do? I know my answer.
I think one of the reasons that the Hornets were so successful in the last series is because they had all these bangers down low who could go after Whiteside, who's not the strongest guy. And you were one of the first people who started talking about that, bringing Al Jefferson off the bench, and he proved to be really effective. I was pretty skeptical of that. And this is the same situation. When you have these two guys, Lowry and DeRozan, who just aren't shooting. I think DeRozan's like 37%. I mean, he shot like 45%, which was by far career best for him this season. Even though he had some gaudy point totals at the end of the Indiana series, he still wasn't shooting 50%. It's not. He just took a lot of shots. I mean, this is like late career Kobe numbers here. But you have to let Valanciunas, when he has the advantage, you have to give him the ball, especially when the backcourt's not shooting as well as they could be.
Now we look at the series.
Sorry, Danny. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. You finish your point.
So you have to let the big man, get his touches when he has the advantage. Let it rock. He's been playing well. Give him a shot.
Now, speaking of guys giving it a shot, the guy who has been shooting the ball has been Dwayne Wade for the Miami Heat. Wade hit his first three-pointer, Ethan. His first three-pointer in 2016 in Game 6 in Charlotte. Wade had not hit a three-pointer all season until then. Had a three-pointer this entire year until then. And Wade somehow hit a three-pointer. And for those who missed Game 6 against the Charlotte Hornets, it somehow, in the fourth quarter, there was a man in a purple shirt, in a Hornets-colored shirt, that started heckling Dwayne Wade. He's been doing it the whole game, but he somehow lit a fire in Wade in the fourth quarter, and Wade went completely circa 2006 flash on the Hornets in the fourth quarter. Wade's now looking like the Wade of old. Ethan, can Dwayne Wade carry the Miami Heat in this 7-game series, in your opinion?
I don't think he can carry the team, but he can certainly contribute more than he was the first half of the season. Dwayne Wade, he might feel a little bit rejuvenated, but he's still not the same player. The Heat really, when they went on their winning streak, they started in the middle of the season. They really started going away from him. The Dragic got more touches, and they brought in Joe Johnson. Amari Stoudemire, of all people, was doing things. They started playing Justice Winslow and Josh Richardson more. He's not the same player he was. He can still be effective, but he won't carry them, that's for sure.
One last question about the Miami Heat before we go into the Chris Bosh situation today. Joe Johnson and Luol Deng, especially Luol Deng, have come out. Johnson, in this night's game, 7 points to start the game, struggled a bit in this series. Luol Deng was just brilliant against Charlotte on both ends of the court. Which one of these two, or if somebody else is the X factor for the Heat, if it's not Johnson or Deng, who is your X factor for the Heat in this 7-game series against the Raptors?
I'm going to go Justice Winslow. I want to see him come on guard DeRozan. I want to see him start shooting a little bit more, getting some confidence for the rookie. I mean, he's a really good player. He's one of the best defenders already in the league. He's really good. I want to see what he can do off the bench. I know he doesn't start. I know Luol Deng and it's really good, and Joe Johnson's really good for stretches of the game. So when Winslow comes in for someone like Joe Johnson, I want to see what he can do on both ends.
Now for the Raptors, who is your biggest X factor for the Raptors?
Well, right now it's been, in this game at least, it's been Terrence Ross. But in the opening series, it was Norman Powell. He was awesome. He was making every shot. He was getting rebounds, stretching the floor out, opening it up for guys like Valanciunas and Lowry to make drives. So it's kind of that mishmash at the power forward position between, Patrick Patterson, I think, is a good one. I don't think Luis Scola is going to play much. We'll see if Carroll's at the 4 or Terrence Ross is at the 4. So I'm not really sure what they're going to do.
Don't forget Bismack Biyombo and his rebounding ability. Biyombo was brilliant. Awesome. 9.5 rebounds a game in 19 minutes against the Indiana Pacers. And before we get out of here, there's one big story in the playoffs, especially with the Miami Heat, that's going on today. It's the situation over Chris Bosh. Chris Bosh wants to play. The Miami Heat are trying to tell Chris Bosh to stay at home. Now the NBA Players Association wants to meet the Miami Heat, are trying to let Chris Bosh return to the Heat for the duration of the playoffs. Ethan, we all know Chris Bosh left last season with a blood clot injury, potentially career-ending situation. Then again this year, he had a same blood clot happen again after the All-Star break and has missed the rest of the season since. If you're the Miami Heat, are they doing the right thing by fighting Chris Bosh's return to come back to the team, or do you think they should let him play if that's what he wants to do?
Well, officially, Chris Bosh is listed as undisclosed medical issue. So we're not really sure of what really is wrong with him. I don't remember. I think he's still under contract up through next year. Why rush it? You still have two rookies who are really good, Josh Richardson and Justice Winslow. You keep riding these guys out. I don't think the Heat are really going to win the title this year, especially with Golden State and San Antonio on the other end. There's no point if he's just going to be hurt and you're going to be really risking something. There's no point there.
I think Chris Bosh wants to get back on the court because they're 4 games away, let's be honest, Ethan, from getting their hands on the Cleveland Cavaliers. Potentially the Eastern Conference Finals. Miami has their shot at Cleveland. So I think we both agree with the Hawks don't have much of a chance to beat Cleveland. So we're looking at a potential Miami-Cleveland Eastern Conference Finals. Let's be honest. I think, in my opinion, Chris Bosh wants to get back on the court because, like LeBron James, like Dwayne Wade, like Eric Spoelstra, like Pat Riley, Bosh wants his hands on LeBron. They might be all friends off the floor, but let's be honest. LeBron left them high and dry. You leave them high and dry, it's all motivation. Could Chris Bosh maybe pull a Willis Reed, come on the court for 2 minutes, hit a jump shot, and the Heat somehow spark a series win? Is that what he's trying to do, or do you really think he possibly be potentially effective in the series? For me, I don't think it's a smart idea. I think Bosh is at home. But do you think if Bosh is allowed to play that he can make some kind of impact in the series against Cleveland?
First of all, I love the Willis Reed reference, especially with all the Knicks fans here. It's one of the only Knicks I actually like. But if you play, Miami's just so much of a better team with him on the floor. They're just totally different. They have someone to stretch the floor. They have someone else who can rebound other than Whiteside. They're just a much better team. But even though they played better without him, I think that's more of the fact that they went away from Dwayne Wade. But if he plays against Cleveland, yeah, he can be really important. Kevin Love can't guard him, or you can get Tristan Thompson and get away from the basket. You can absolutely be a big factor against Cleveland, but if he's not healthy, if he's not passing these physicals, you can't put him in. It's not just about this year. I'm sure Chris Bosh wants to get back just as much as anybody. Stephen Curry's out there saying, "Oh yeah, I feel great. I'll play in Game 3. I'm ahead of schedule." These guys will say anything to get out there and play again. So he needs to put that behind him and just say, okay, well, if I go out and play basketball, am I going to die?
Great answer. Ethan, 30 seconds before we let you out of here. How does everybody get in contact with you on social media, and what you got coming up on radio.com?
You can follow me on Twitter at Ethan Broseph. I'm on Cyberdust at +Ethan Broseph.